Welcome to Education Matters, presented by the Public School Forum of North Carolina. I'm your host for this week, Jennifer Rifkin. Today, we have another special episode in celebration of Teacher Appreciation Week 2026. Across this country this week, educators were applauded for their commitment to students. Their extremely important work plays a critical role in shaping the futures of our kids, as well as our communities. To help us recognize just how critical that work is, joining us today, we have Chyna Delk-Bratcher, a kindergarten teacher in Hoke County Schools, Michael Vetter, Human Resources Director in Jackson County Public Schools, and Valencia Abbott, Social Studies Department teacher and chair at Rockingham Early College High School. Thank you all for joining us. We'll start with a question for everyone, and we can start with Chyna. What drove you to pursue a career in education?
So I actually came from a family of educators. This wasn't something that I naturally thought I would become, but of course, like every child, you had your stuffed animals and you teach the stuffed animals. But as I got older, I thought I wanted to do other things like become a lawyer or become a psychologist. And so my story is my senior year of high school, I moved from Colorado to North Carolina, and there was a program called Teacher Cadet. And my mom would always tell me, "You're an educator." And I would be like, "Mom, no, I'm not." But she just truly believed that I am an educator. And so I decided to join this program just to see what is it like. And by the end of the program, there was one student in that class that I was in. It was a third grade class in a rural community. And this one student, the teachers would always say, "Oh man, this is a tough student. We really can't do much with him. He won't listen." But I was there for 4 weeks. And on my last day, I was like, "I'm leaving everyone." And this one student told me, "But why? You helped me learn." And at 17 years old, I realized it in there, like, this is my purpose. If this is a student where others who went to school to be a teacher are saying, "I don't know what to do with this child," it was just within me that I knew that it was destined for me to become an educator.
That one critical moment in connection with that student. I love that story. Thank you for sharing. Mike, what about you?
So similar to China, both of my parents were educators, so I grew up being around their classrooms all the time, and I was really drawn to education because I knew I had an opportunity to make a meaningful and lasting impact on several students' lives. And education is one of those few professions where you can directly influence not only the growth academically, but also the confidence, the character, and you can really open up many future opportunities for your students. So that was, one of the main reasons that I was drawn to education. Over time, the initial passion kind of grew into a commitment to supporting both students and educators. In my current role as a human resources director, we really focus a lot of our energy on supporting not just the educators, but our leadership and our leaders in the building. I've seen firsthand how strong schools and effective leaders can change the trajectory of not just one student, but an entire school community.
I appreciate you exploring all aspects of the teacher pipeline there and supporting the leadership, the teachers, and that desire to see our kids not just as students, but as humans and how we can develop them in more than one way. And Valencia, tell us about your journey to education.
Well, mine also has a connection to how China told her story. It was never my goal or it wasn't my aspiration. Um, I came into teaching because I had lost my job at customer service position. And I was also going through a separation that eventually went into a divorce. And I was looking for a job. And I decided that I was going to do sub work until I could figure things out. And I got a long-term sub position, and it was in a classroom that was English and history. And at the end of that year, I knew that that was my purpose. Not like this was my job, but this was my purpose. And I was almost 40 years old, and my friends thought that I was absolutely crazy when I told them I'm going to be a teacher.
The stars aligned, and you were in the right place at the right time, it sounds like.
Yes.
Great. So this next question we'll start with you actually, Valencia. Throughout your career as an educator, what has changed and what has stayed the same?
The most convenient and obvious answer is technology. I started teaching in 2004. And at that time, I didn't have social media. I didn't even know what social media was. I don't even think I got my Facebook until 2008 when I was in grad school. So technology is the obvious thing that has happened. The other thing that I have definitely seen that has impacted the classroom is the lack of students actually reading in depth, reading for fun. That has definitely changed, but that also goes with the technology part. But what hasn't changed is the desire for students and parents and community to want the best education for their students, for their child, because we know that education means opportunities. That desire, I don't think, has decreased.
It takes a village, and that mentality has really stayed with us. Absolutely. Chyna, you were recognized as your school's beginning teacher of the year in 2024. What do you think helped you be successful as an early career educator?
I think the main thing for me has always been relationships. I know that we've made that a tagline that we say, but relationships matter, but I've really taken that seriously. And so even with my colleagues, I try my best to be kind, helpful in any way. And so even like down to just morale, I love boosting the morale. So sometimes I would take my own funds and buy the teachers something, special or candy or something just to show like, hey, you matter. And so I feel like in the early stage of my career, building those strong relationships with my colleagues, of course, my students, and also parents has been major. I've learned that early on. And so keeping that in mind has really carried me through this profession, just always making sure I'm building those strong relationships across the board.
We can't do this work without the human connection. And I appreciate you approaching that in not just your work environment, but with your students and their community. After the break, we'll continue our conversation celebrating Teacher Appreciation Week 2026. Welcome back. Let's hop right back into our celebration of Teacher Appreciation Week 2026. Mike, how does policy at the state level impact districts' ability to recruit and retain educators?
I think state level policy plays a significant role in any district's ability to recruit and retain educators. And I think there's really three main components of it. Number one, obviously, is compensation. It's one of the most directly influenced ways to kind of recruit and hopefully retain the folks that we get. State salary schedules largely determine how competitive districts can be. We're in the far western region of North Carolina, so we have three states that are pretty close to us that are more competitive than we are, so that can make it a little trickier at times. Another component is licensure and certification policies. They can impact our teacher pipeline. We want to make sure we have efficient pathways into the teaching profession. That could increase the number of students that enroll in some of our EPPs as well. And then lastly, policies around working conditions really make a big difference. Class size mandates, funding formulas, staffing allotments, they can directly affect the workload, the planning time that teachers and staff have, along with the support structures in schools. So how many teacher assistants do we have in each of our elementary schools, and what are they doing to kind of support our teachers and the hard work that they do each and every day? So those are some of the key factors I think that a lot of educators weigh when they think about whether or not they want to continue teaching or look for something else to do. So to sum things up, I think recruitment and retention, they're not just local challenges. They can be influenced a lot by state level decision making, specifically compensation, licensure, working conditions, flexibility, things like that.
Of those areas, is there one in particular that you're hoping the state could focus the most attention on currently?
I think ideally by passing a budget that recognizes and reflects the hard work that our teachers have done, not just this year, but in years past, with a significant raise, I think would be beneficial. I think at the local level, I think we really need to revere our local educators, all of our educators, as Mo Green, Superintendent Green would say, because it's critical that we not just pay them more, but we need to support them and give them the resources that they need and treat them like the professionals that they truly are.
Absolutely. As recent Education Policy Fellowship Program alumni, EPFP alumni, I'd love to ask the group, what is your advice for educators interested in getting involved with advocacy and policy? We just spoke to Mike about some policy decisions at the state level that are impacting districts. So what advice would y'all give to folks trying to get involved? And we can start with Chyna.
I think the biggest thing I've taken away from this is that it's everyone's work. It's everyone's job. I felt like there were like a separation between they're the ones that make the decision. Yes, they might write their name on the line, but we have the opportunity to share our voice as well as educators or community leaders or just even being teachers and students. We have the opportunity to speak. And so I realized through this program, like, wow, I actually do have a voice and that there's power in the numbers. And so I no longer just complain about things that I see. I'm able to advocate and like support other teachers and say, hey, did you know that we can talk to our legislators and discuss how we feel. So it really shows that we have work to do as well. It's not just those who are in offices.
Valencia, what would you add?
I would add that also to not think always everything has to be big to make an impact. That those conversations that we have, whether we're having it with students or parents in communities, those conversations mean something if they're coming from a place of truth and good intent. That we can do that we don't necessarily have to move mountains or think that we have to move mountains to get things done, to be intentional in what we do in the classroom and how we present ourselves in the community. I think that makes a big difference to how we're perceived as teachers and also to others looking at us to hopefully join us. One of the things as I'm thinking of the ending of my career, because I know that I'm counting down how much longer I'm going to be in the classroom, also want to know who's going to replace me, who wants to replace me, and how my profession looks to others is important. It is important to note.
Yeah. I think sharing that narrative in multiple ways to multiple people was really critical in this work. Michael, what about you? Would you add anything different?
Not really. I think we talked a little bit ago about relationships, and it's not, we don't want to overcomplicate and overthink things. It's really just about building relationships. Some of the conversations don't have to be formal. They can be informal, just conversations that you have with your local legislators about some of the issues that you are seeing, not just in your region, but maybe across the state. And I think the main thing is just to kind of take the time to get to know them and build that strong relationship that a lot of our educators are doing anyways.
Absolutely. Valencia, can you describe a moment in your career that affirmed your decision to become a teacher?
When I was sent this question, and because I've been 2 decades, it was like trying to pick my favorite child, like my favorite moment, the thing. And I was like, there's like so many. And I really wanted to answer this question. So this is what I landed on. It was 2001. Yeah, yeah, 2021. I was working on a local project with a group of students. Some were current students, some were recent graduates of the early college, and two were like homeschool students that I had before. So I had been connected with it was 7 of them in some way. And during this time that we're working on this project, it was during the summer, I received a grant, was just really excited to work with students outside of the classroom, because I think teaching is more than just the 4 walls in the classroom. And as I was introducing the students in the spaces that we were going, those that were former students, I said, these are my former students. And they stopped me and they was like, no, we don't want to be identified that way. They said forever students. And not forever students is like they're always going to be that child-adult relationship. But the fact that they thought so highly of me as their teacher that they wanted that bond to continue. And I was just honored to be in that position, especially by that time I've been, a couple of years in, but for my students to see the value in not only what I brought to them, but what I was giving to the community. So that is only one of many. I have so many that I could talk about my kids all day. But that one just stands out. So I just say they're my forever students. Those that want to be called my forever students, they can just come on in. Yes.
You embrace them and as part of your family. They are lifelong learners, and you're just making all of our viewers cry right now. So appreciate that story. Chyna, why or how do you use social media? We've seen some of your posts are very vibrant and honest. Can you share how you use social media and just what those experiences are as an educator?
Sure. So when I originally started, it was my second year in. Well, I started actually when I was a student teaching, and then I put it back down. And then my second year in, my mom was like, "You should start back that page." At the time, I only had like 300 followers. I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I started posting, and I had one video that went viral. I talked about my first year of teaching. I did resign at the end of the school, well, the last day of school, because I was overwhelmed, overworked, unsupported. And so I began to question, did I choose the right profession? My body was breaking down. I was sick and didn't realize why I was sick. So I resigned. And so I ended up moving schools and changing grade levels. So I went from fifth to kindergarten. I always say that I'm a little crazy for that. And in that's where my passion blossomed again. And so I did a video about that and I got 1 million views and my page just skyrocketed and just kind of it's gone from there. And so now I really use my platform to, of course, be honest, because I feel like sometimes we feel like we can't be honest because we don't want to offend someone, but it is okay to love your job and have tough days. And so I share that part. And I also use humor because I love to laugh. And I feel like we as teachers, we have one thing in common. Sometimes, it might be about the paper jam or it might be about a colleague. And we need a little humor in our life sometimes. So I use my platform to bring light, to share that I understand you, to share that commonality, and then to bring humor into the profession. So that's just how I've been doing, and it's been going well.
That's awesome. It's that phrase, we love our job and it's okay to have tough days, I think really encompasses a lot of teacher experiences. Thank you for sharing that with us. Let's start with Michael and then we'll finish out. What can community members or lawmakers do to support educators beyond Teacher Appreciation Week?
I think oftentimes when we talk about Appreciation Week, it only lasts 1 week. And in my mind, I think, what do we do the rest of those times?
Mhm.
We can support and help at local PTO nights. We can be active participants when it comes to just regular school functions, and just bare bones, just being an active parent, coming, communicating, having good two-way communication with your child's teacher. I think individually is very important. But overall, I think we just need to continue to support the hard work that our schools are doing, support the leadership at the schools, because leadership plays a critical role in what goes on from the day to day in each child's classroom. So continuing to support that and continuing to support your child's teacher can pay dividends in the long run.
Support, support, support. I hear that. Valencia, what would you add?
I am going to be totally selfish and say what I think would really impact my classroom. Parents, read to the children. Read to your children. Those that are too old to be read to. Find ways to bring reading into their lives. Okay, whether you introduce them to a new author, whether you go to book signing, just read. I think that will help their educational goal with their child in the classroom, no matter what they're taking. Okay, no matter what subject. So just read.
Embracing that culture of literacy and that love for reading. Great. Chyna, and to close us out, what would you add?
I would like to just piggyback on Mike. I would say support is extremely important. I know that some parents may not have the finances to give things towards the class, but just having that support, if we give a phone call, knowing that we can call you and you're going to support us in whatever concern, if it's a behavioral concern, if it's an academic concern, knowing we have that support really helps go beyond just the week of Teacher Appreciation Week. So the support is valued, and I appreciate all the parents that support my class.
Thank you. Y'all, I know that your time is incredibly limited, and we value your perspective in our conversation today. So thank you for being here, Chyna, Mike, and Valencia, and I hope you have a great rest of the school year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
After the break, we'll wrap up with a special message from Superintendent Mo Green.
Hello, everyone, and happy Teacher Appreciation Week. I am Maurice Mo Green, and I'm honored to serve as your North Carolina Superintendent of Public Instruction. To our extraordinary public school teachers across North Carolina, I am humbled to take this moment to recognize and celebrate you. You are truly champions of public education, and I want to express my deepest gratitude for the work you do each and every day. Your influence extends far beyond academics. You inspire, you uplift, you challenge, and you care. You help shape not only strong leaders and learners, but strong individuals who are prepared to lead, to contribute, and to thrive. The impact you are making is lasting, and it is powerful. You are leaders in your classrooms, anchors in your schools, and cornerstones in your communities. Because of you, public education in North Carolina continues to grow stronger, and our future grows brighter. Thank you for choosing this profession, and thank you for choosing to serve in North Carolina's public schools. I want you to know that I value you deeply, and I revere you and the work that you do. Thank you for your dedication, your excellence, and your unwavering commitment to North Carolina's students. Happy Teacher Appreciation Week.
Thank you for taking time with us to learn and think about education. That's all for today, and we'll see you next week.